Hello Yogins, it's Yogi Doug Johnson back with another talk, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about giving thanks and gratitude. Please remember that if you get something from this talk, to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below. So it's Thanksgiving here in the US, which I think is a lovely holiday. And I'm not talking about the history of the holiday. So here in the US we have some mythology that may or may not be true, and our history can be quite checkered. But the idea of giving thanks, I think, is very important, the idea of gratitude. So I've looked up a few definitions that I wanted to share with you. So thankful, one of the definitions for that is expressing gratitude and relief. So we see that gratitude is actually contained within the idea of being thankful. So Thanksgiving might be seen as a time to express our gratitude. And then gratitude, one definition I looked up, is the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and return kindness. So again, we see that within the idea of gratitude, being thankful is contained. So to me, these two are very, very closely related, if not interchangeable, gratitude and thankfulness. So Thanksgiving, I think, is a beautiful idea because it's a day when we can really reflect on what we're grateful for, what we're thankful for. And spiritually speaking, this is an important concept because the way our minds are wired as human beings is generally once we achieve a certain goal or we get something that we desire, our minds tend to simply move on to the next thing and take it for granted. So if you're an adult like me, maybe you remember being a child and thinking thoughts like, I can't wait till I'm grown up, then I'm going to do what I want to do. You might have had thoughts like, I can't wait till I can drive, then I'm going to go where I want to go. Things like this. Well, most adults I know hate driving. They can't stand it. They can't stand being in traffic. So here we see how this happens because we aren't grateful. So if we would remember the time when we couldn't drive and simply feel the gratitude for being able to finally get around on our own, then we could feel grateful, even though no one likes traffic, right? No one likes sitting in traffic. It's understandable. But what is the alternative? Try going back to being a child. Try begging others for a ride, your mom or your dad, or taking a cab everywhere, right? So instead of sitting in traffic and getting upset about the traffic or how people are driving crazy, we can reflect on the fact that we have this amazing vehicle and that can take us from point A to point B in a very short amount of time, very, very convenient, and we can work on the gratitude. So again, if we're not careful, the way our minds are wired is the minute I can drive, maybe for the first year or two I really enjoy it, but then I start to take it for granted. Another example I might give would be maybe you have a partner, and maybe you've been with your partner for a long time. Now, maybe you can think back to a time when you were very excited to be with this person. And maybe there was even a time when you were hoping to marry or to date this person and you were unsure of that outcome. And now you've been married to them or you've been dating them for a long time. Again, the opposite, we might say, of gratitude is taking things for granted. So do you simply take your partner for granted? They don't take out the trash. They don't compliment you like they used to. They don't bring you roses, whatever it might be that they don't do. But how would you feel if they were gone? So giving thanks, gratitude, is about not worrying about the things that we don't have, because there's an infinite number of things we don't have. Isn't that true? Isn't it true? There's an infinite number of things that I don't. There's way more things I don't have than I do have. So if I'm going to reflect on my life in that way and say, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have $1 million, I don't have, well, you could go on forever because there's an infinite number of things we don't have. So instead, what we'd like to do is flip this around and start to look at what we do have. So many of us have at least some level of health. Wow. Okay, so we have our health. We can every day be grateful for that. Many of us do have people in our lives who love and appreciate us, and so we can be grateful for that. Many of us have jobs and income. There are parts of the world where that might be very, very difficult and hard to come by, so we could be grateful for that. And one trick for doing this, and I may have mentioned it in another talk, is gratitude journaling. And I know this might sound a little bit cheesy or new agey, but scientific studies have shown that it works. That if you take some time to reflect and write down what you're grateful for, this is just building new neural pathways in your brain. It's sending your brain in a different direction than it tends to go in our culture, which is, again, to what I don't have. And again, there's an infinite number of things we don't have. Once I get a Mercedes-Benz, I don't have a Porsche. Once I get a Porsche, I don't have a vintage Mustang. Once I have a vintage Mustang, I don't have some other car that I'd like to have. Okay, so this is just the way our brains tend to work. But once we understand how they work, we can actually begin to train them to work in a different way. So anyway, guys, thank you all for listening. I hope you got something from this. And again, if you did, please give me the old thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And if you have a question, please leave it in the comments below. And I want to ask you, what do you feel grateful for today on Thanksgiving? What could you give thanks for? And there's probably if you really reflect honestly, there's an innumerable number of things that you could be grateful for. Just being able to take our next breath is a miracle. All of life truly is a miracle. And what yoga, in my experience, is really about is putting us in touch with knowing that from our gut, really feeling that on a deep level. It's not an intellectual exercise anymore. It comes from within us. We feel that every moment of our life is a gift. Anyway, everyone, thank you for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. Namaste.